I'm in Dorset, looking at two very distinct but intimately connected prehistoric landmarks. One is an Iron Age hill fort, and the other, a shingle spit. But what's the connection?
Here on Chesil Beach, the pebbles have been naturally sorted from little more than grit-sized at one end right up to fist-sized at the other. At Portland Bill, they're plum-sized and harder than steel, the perfect ammunition for an Iron Age slingshot.
The Celts collected them from this beach in their thousands. But to understand why, I need a new perspective on the past. The Celts who ruled this region, the Durotriges, were rich and powerful. They even traded with the Romans from this shore. This ancient road connected Chesil Beach to their most prestigious settlement, a vast hill fort, and that's where we're headed now. Hundreds of tons of pebbles were carried up this prehistoric trackway, which we now know as the A37. It was a munitions superhighway of its time, to ensure the protection of one of Britain's greatest defensive strongholds, 10 miles to the north. Arriving by air should give us a view to die for. Look at that. Maiden Castle, the greatest hill fort in Britain. In Iron Age times, hill forts were the tribal seats of power, and this tribe held the biggest seat by far. Maiden Castle is immense. You could fit 50 football pitches inside the top ramparts, and it's these successive rows of elaborate ramparts that really make it stand out from all the rest. From up here, we can make a unique mile-and-a-half circuit around the 47-acre site in a matter of seconds. The hill was in use from Stone Age times, but it was the Celts who most radically reshaped it. In fact, Maiden is Celtic for Great Hill. 2,000 years ago, those hand-cut ramparts would have been awesome, severe and lined in stone, possibly 60 foot from the top bank to the bottom of the ditch. Right, we're going to land now, so I can go and explore the interior on foot.
Maiden Castle was never a castle in terms of the way we understand that word today. It's more of a walled town for a chieftain and for the people who kept animals out there and farmed those fields in the surrounding countryside. From a distance, this place is an unmistakable symbol of strength and power. It intimidated other tribes, putting them off even thinking about trying to attack. But the entrances were a potential weak spot. So the inhabitants here developed this fantastically complex defensive labyrinth. And from up on the high points, they could bring into play the slingshots from Chesil Beach. If you were trying to attack this place, there's no way you could have known which line to take through these ramparts. And above you all the time would be defenders on wooden platforms and behind palisades, raining down slingshots like these. And if all of that wasn't enough to put you off your stride, up above you on sharpened stakes were the beheaded skulls of people who had tried to get in here before.
But when the Romans arrived in 43 AD, they weren't intimidated.
They were organised and determined, and they had the tools for the job. Among other things, they had huge wooden crossbows called ballistas that could fire 300-pound boulders 400 metres, smashing any defences ranged against them. The Celts didn't stand a chance.
The Romans targeted Maiden Castle because it was so important to the tribe. When they lost it, they lost heart, and the Romans took over. But how do we know about the link with Chesil Beach? In the 1930s, archaeologists uncovered tens of thousands of slingshots buried in pits on the site, simply abandoned by the Celts.
The Empire had moved the technology of warfare forward, and Maiden Castle was simply left behind. But it's only when you get up in the air that you get a sense of just how significant this place was and how impressively it has withstood its 2,000 years of solitude.